George is on his way over. Sounds like he has something serious he wants to talk about. Alex?
Yeah.
You feeling okay, Alex?
I suppose I'm doing okay, Julia. All things considered.
It's hard to believe he's gone, isn't it? It's amazing your father started all this in his basement. And look what he's done. What he accomplished. So do you think you're ready to take it from here?
I'm not so sure, Julia. Everybody assumes I'm totally prepared for this. I'm not. I'm not my father. How can I run this company? I can't do the things he did. I don't have the vision he had. He loved cartography. But his life was about more than just making maps. He knew what he wanted. He knew how to get it.
Don't you think you're being a little hard on yourself?
I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do or what I can do. You know, he made this map 30 years ago when he was in South America. He said it led him to El Árbol de Oro, the golden tree. This was his guide, Sabio. He never stopped talking about it. There's treasure in the jungle, Alex, he always used to say. All you have to do is look for it.
Did someone say treasure?
George, how are you?
Fabulous, Julia. Alex, my condolences. I enjoyed working with your father very much. Those are big shoes to fill.
Thank you.
Well, I'll leave you guys to talk.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks.
This map. The golden tree. What's that all about?
Well, ever since I was a kid, my father always told us about this treasure he found in the jungle while surveying in Peru. He called it the golden tree.
So it's real?
Yeah, according to him. For years, we always talked about us going down there. Never did.
Well, speaking of treasure, Alex, the reason why I'm here is that, well, some associates and I have decided to make you a very profitable offer for this business. We've worked so well in the past when I was a client. Imagine what we could do if we were all on one team.
No.
Excuse me?
I haven't had any time to consider that. I just don't think it's what he would have wanted.
Alex, come on. What do you want? And be honest with yourself. Are you ready for this? Look, take a look at it. You won't be disappointed.
I have to have some time to think about it, George. I still have a lot of things to sort out.
Of course, I know it's too soon, but just look at our offer. This could be a beautiful thing, Alex.
believe he's gone, isn't it?
Are you ready for this?
So do you think you're ready to take it from here? Alex?
You say something, Alex?
No, nothing. Just thinking.
Well, you better get moving with that map of yours if we're going to find the golden tree before dark. You know, Alex, this could be a beautiful thing.
It is getting late, Alex. George and I'll set up camp and we'll all get a fresh start in the morning.
By tomorrow morning, I want to be a millionaire or out of here.
I think I've pinpointed whereabouts we are on this map. Julia, toss me my pack. Get the fire going. I'm going to go ahead and take a look around.
You're the map maker. How do you make a fire?
What am I doing here? Golden tree. I guess you saved my life. But who are you anyway?
My name is Sabio. Where did you think you were going?
Well, I'm looking for something. Well, I've got this... Well, I'm trying to find, I'm looking for the golden tree. It's an ancient treasure. My father, he told me all about it.
I see people like you all the time, looking for treasure in this jungle. How do you plan to find it?
Well, my father made this map when he was here a long time ago. I think I'm starting to make some sense of it.
I don't think it's making sense. Is that what brought you here?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, your father's map can only lead you to your father's treasure. You should make your own map.
What, are you telling me this map's no good?
No, I'm just telling you. It'd be wise to make your own map.
So, have you even heard of the golden tree?
Well, there are many treasures in this jungle.
So is it real?
Well, there's a treasure here for everyone. Not everyone finds it.
What about the golden tree? Do you know about that treasure?
Well, I know you can find it.
Will you stop being so vague? Do you know where the golden tree is or not? I'm sorry. It's just you obviously know more than you're telling me.
You want to know if the golden tree exists? It does. But you must discover it for yourself, or it will never be yours.
It's okay, everybody. This is Savio. I was running down the river, and he stopped me.
Did you find anything yet?
No, not yet. Anyway, this is Savio. He helped me find my way back here.
I'm George. Julia. Amigos.
Amigos. Julia, it's a pleasure to meet you. George?
Speak English, huh?
Well, now that we've all met, why don't we go ahead and get a fire started before it gets pitch dark? So you can't be too careful out there in the jungle, huh, Savio? So how am I supposed to find this treasure without a map?
You won't. That's why you must make your own map.
This doesn't make any sense. How can I make a map if I don't even know where I am?
Across that river is a mountain. Climb to the top of that mountain. There you'll be able to make your own map.
That's where I'll find the golden tree, right?
No. But you'll be able to see it from there.
You can actually see it? Huh, you're kidding. Well, tell me, what does it actually look like? Savio? Savio? You know, I can't believe that George took off with my father's map.
Maybe we'll be able to see him from on top of the mountain.
Yeah, I hope so. Anyway, better keep moving if we want to get up there and back before the end of the day. Care for some water, Julia?
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
Wow. It is beautiful here, isn't it?
Alex, what is that?
What's what?
That.
There's something carved on it.
Looks like some kind of monument.
Look at this.
It's incredible, Julia. This is a carving of the golden tree. This means it's real. We're not chasing after some made-up story.
Here, we'll make a rubbing.
All right, you hold it. All right, almost done. This is it.
You know, I think there might be more ruins here. Look at this hillside.
Yeah, I guess. But let's get up the mountain. Sabio said you can actually see this from there.
Alex, this is your treasure. You climb the mountain and make your map. I'll stick around here and look for George.
Can't believe this. The golden tree. Where is it? Come on. Come on.
Climb to the top of that mountain. There you'll be able to make your own map.
In the jungle. It is the jungle. Thanks, everybody. That'll be all.
Your first staff meeting as president. How do you feel?
Well, now I know where I'm headed, and that feels great.
Hello, I'm Hiram Smith, CEO of Franklin Quest. The process you will learn today is one I have relied on to accomplish the goals I set for myself. Once you have learned this process, you'll be well on your way to creating your own personal map. A map that will help you define the things that are most important to you and show you how to do something about those things on a daily basis. As part of the popular time management seminar developed by Franklin Quest, we teach that inner peace results when our daily actions are in line with our most deeply held values. Identifying the things that matter most to you will take time. Time to think, to focus, to ponder about who you really are. This learning experience, with the self-discovery exercises you will participate in, is designed to help you in this personal quest. I encourage you to look at yourself and your life with new eyes and discover the things that matter most to you.
The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new lands, but in seeing with new eyes. The process you are about to learn will help you make your own discoveries. To help you understand this process of discovery, Franklin Quest has developed the Productivity Pyramid. Building your own pyramid will help you bring your daily behavior in line with the things that matter most to you. Let's take a look at it. Turn to page 5 in your Discovery Guidebook. The broad base of the pyramid represents governing values. Governing values are the things that matter most in your life. When your daily behavior is in concert with these values, you experience inner peace. Think of this level as the why of your life. Write why next to governing values on your productivity pyramid. Your long-range goals form the second level of the pyramid. Long-range goals are identifiable landmarks that keep us moving in the right direction. They are where we're going. Write where next to long-range goals on the productivity pyramid. Intermediate steps are your plan of action. Because long-range goals cannot be completed quickly, breaking them into milestones you can reach one at a time will keep you moving forward. Intermediate steps are how you will achieve your goals. Write how next to intermediate steps on your productivity pyramid. Lastly, you will turn your plan of action into daily tasks. These are recorded in your Franklin Day Planner system, where you prioritize what you're going to do each day. You've now brought your daily actions in line with your most deeply held values. Write what next to daily tasks. Governing values, long-range goals, intermediate steps, and daily tasks, the levels of your personal productivity pyramid. We will spend the remainder of this course helping you to build yours.
I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel happy, and I didn't know why. So I talked with Annie about it. That really helped. I love my family. I love Hannah, our daughter, but I didn't feel like a good dad.
Jim is a good dad. He's a very good dad, and Hannah adores him.
But I didn't feel like a good dad. Anyway, I thought maybe there was something we could do together. Some of my friends do things with their kids. We both like basketball, so I thought maybe we could go to a few games together.
And then he thought of starting a neighborhood team with some of the kids, just for fun. I thought it was a great idea.
I wanted to practice on Saturday mornings. Annie was really supportive. She just got this raise.
I figured that with a little adjusting in our budget, my raise could cover the expenses we normally cover with Jim's Saturday overtime money, and so he could use Saturdays for practices.
Now we're 3-0.
You've just seen in a very simple form the process you're about to learn. First, Jim searched out a governing value, being a good dad. Second, Jim clarified that value, defining what he considered to be one aspect of being a good dad. Then Jim established a long-range goal, organizing a basketball team. Then he isolated some intermediate steps. Finally, Jim set himself necessary tasks, practicing on Saturdays. Now let's make this process work for you. In his dream, Alex found himself running down a river in an attempt to follow his father's map. Until Alex developed his own map, he was living largely according to what other people thought he should be doing. He was looking behind himself instead of looking forward. Your governing values will be different from my governing values. If some of our values share the same name, your definition and application of them will be different from mine. Alex and his father both developed maps of the same place. But the maps differed according to each of their needs. Identifying your values and goals is easier when you look at your life from a big picture perspective. When Alex arrived at the top of the mountain, he was able to see the whole jungle. Only then could he identify points in the landscape that were important to him and thus draw his map. The learning exercises you're about to do will guide you through the process of building your personal productivity pyramid step by step. First, you'll begin to identify your governing values and write them down. Just as each of us is different, there are different ways to do this. We're going to show you 3 possible ways, and remember, there's no single right way. Let's meet our 3 friends. First, Lynn.
Lately, I've been spending some time after work to think about some things, some really important things. I'm happy with the career I chose, so that's not a problem. But there are some areas of my life I would like to feel better about. There's being an accomplished professional, demonstrating integrity, being dependable, being respected by my peers.
Lynn's list is organized and written in the way that works best for her. You'll find these lists printed on pages 6 and 7. For purposes of definition, we'll call Lynn's list a linear list.
Well, I ask myself things like, what do I like to do when I'm not under pressure? When my life is over, what will I be glad I did? What talents do I have?
Lynn has begun to identify some of her governing values. Now let's meet Melinda.
I do some of my best thinking early in the morning. It's a good time to meditate. I've been trying to answer some important questions like, what was I doing at times when I really felt happy? I keep feeling like there's things I should be pursuing. What are those things? Being creative, developing my potential, my family, to name a few.
Melinda's list looks much different from Lynn's. It's a way to write her values down and connect them almost like a roadmap.
Well, talking with Annie really got me thinking. Am I spending time on the things that really matter? What am I willing to devote my life to? Who am I really? I won't share everything I wrote down, but here are a few. My family, my friends, nice home, sports, time outdoors.
Jim's list is more free-form than Lynn's, written as his ideas spilled out from his thinking. You've now seen how each of these 3 individuals has taken the same task, identifying what matters most, and approached it in a different way at a different time and place. The important thing is to write your values down. This is the first step in the process of building your personal productivity pyramid. Each of the methods used is a form of brainstorming. Brainstorming is a problem-solving technique that involves the spontaneous collection of ideas. It can be done as an individual or as a group. One of the most important aspects of brainstorming is to write everything down as it pops into your head in whatever way works for you. On page 8 in the guidebook, write the definition of brainstorming, the spontaneous collection of ideas. The method Melinda used for brainstorming is sometimes called a mind map. It's a way to generate ideas and connect them, almost like a road map. If you've never developed a mind map before, you may want to give it a try. On page 9, you will see an oval already drawn. Take a moment to write your name in the center. On the lines radiating from the oval in your guidebook, we have written areas common to most people's lives: physical, vocational, intellectual, social, and spiritual. Not all of these areas apply to everyone, but they may help you begin to recognize in which areas of your life your governing values can be found. Now read through the questions on page 8 in your guidebook. As you read these questions, possible answers to them will come to mind. From the labeled line that most closely relates to each answer, draw a new branching line and write the answer on it. Don't worry about being neat or organized or whether ideas are silly or appropriate. The objective here is to get them down on paper. The radiating lines are like main highways on your map, and the branching roads you're starting to add to them are the beginnings of identifying what matters most to you. The questions will help you think about your governing values from different perspectives and may help you identify values you hadn't thought of before. Feel free to add, erase, or rearrange. Pause the tape now and spend a minute or two experimenting with a mind map. If the mind map is not the best method for you to use when brainstorming, use whatever form is the most comfortable. Again, the important thing is to identify your values. This is perhaps the hardest part of the process. Take the next 4 minutes to either continue your mind map or use the next blank page in your guidebook to begin brainstorming your values. It'll take time to completely identify your governing values. Today is just the beginning. You may want to schedule some time right now in your day planner to work on identifying your governing values again. Your list of values will no doubt change as you change and grow, as you take on responsibilities or discover new interests. We hope you will continue to refine the list over time, adding, deleting, or rearranging as you think of new things. Now unfold the discovery map that is in your guidebook. This will become your personal map to inner peace. You'll recall that in Alex's dream it was the development of his own map that led Alex to the golden tree. Look over your values and take a moment to select one or two that feel especially important and highlight them in some way. Transfer the values you have highlighted to spaces on your map. Over time, you will define your map more completely. The number of spaces you fill is not important. Take the next 60 seconds to begin the transfer. Select one of the values you've written on your map and write it in the box on page 12 in your guidebook. This will be the value you will take through the process of building your personal productivity pyramid. It doesn't necessarily have to be the one that's of greatest value to you. It's just a place to begin so you can understand how the process works. Now that you've begun to identify the things you value most and have selected a governing value to work on, you next need to clarify or define what that value means to you.
The two values I'm going to work on first are being an accomplished professional and demonstrating integrity. If I were to describe myself as though I were already an accomplished professional, I would say that I am gracious when I deal with other people. I deliver more than I promise. I prepare well for meetings. I have marketable skills. I would like to be this person, so writing positive statements for my values, some people call them affirmations, will help me see the road I need to take more clearly. Demonstrating integrity is a more encompassing governing value. It affects all areas of my life. There are many ways I could demonstrate integrity. I would say when I make a commitment, I keep it. If I can't do something, I tell people I can't do it. If I wrong someone, I do all that I can to make it right. I give honest, sensitive feedback.
Lynn's statements about her governing values help to give a clear picture of what her value really means. The value Melinda chose to work on first is I am creative.
I want to be creative, lots of imagination. If I describe myself as though I were already this person, I would say that I constantly look for new ways to approach problems. I'm open to new ideas. I watch programs and movies that are imaginative. I go to lectures. I read about new ideas. I experiment with new ways of doing things. I get to know people that think creatively.
Jim chose the value he talked about with Annie, being a good dad.
When you think of what it means to be a good dad, it's important not to confuse that with what other people think is a good dad. That can be hard.
Following someone else's map invariably leads to frustration down the road.
If I were to describe myself as the dad I want to be, I'd say I treat Hannah with respect. I behave the way I'd like her to behave. I spend time with her on a regular basis. I do everything I can to help her be her best.
Lynn, Melinda, and Jim all identify different values and define them in different ways. They each wrote clarifying statements to help them define what their particular governing value really meant to them. Eventually, you'll want to do this for all your governing values. But for the purpose of learning the process, let's clarify only the value you selected. On the values form on page 14 in your guidebook, first write your governing value as a statement. For example, I am creative. Then define or clarify the value with a few clarifying statements. Take the next 3 minutes to begin to clarify what your value means to you. You've now completed the first 2 steps of the process. You've begun to identify your governing values on the values map, and you've written several statements that clarify what one of those values means to you. Writing a value down on paper moves you a long way toward its full realization. As you look at the value you've described and the statements you've written, ideas are probably already surfacing as ways you could implement that value in your life. Given the pressures of living and working in today's environment, a conscious, organized effort is required in order for your daily life to reflect your values. Now that you've identified and defined a governing value you want to work on, we'll move to the next level of the pyramid. From the top of the mountain, Alex saw all of the surrounding landscape. But he couldn't stay there forever. He would have to return to the jungle below in order to move on with his life. With his own map to guide him, Alex had established landmarks that would prevent him from being lost in the surrounding terrain. Like Alex, we need to establish identifiable landmarks that keep us moving in the right direction. Our long-range goals. These goals are ultimate objectives. Let's look at the long-range goal Lynn identified for her value, being an accomplished professional, and take it up the remaining levels of the productivity pyramid.
I will improve my score on our company's customer service evaluation by 15% in the next 6 months.
Notice how this goal outlines something specific and some way of measuring its completion. It's what we call a SMART goal. The goal is specific. Lynn knows exactly what she expects to accomplish. If your goal is not specific, you will have a hard time knowing whether or not you've reached it. A SMART goal is measurable. In this case, Lynn will improve her score by 15%. You can only improve what you can measure. Goals should always focus on actions, and goals must be realistic. It's good to aim high, but if we aim too high, we can get discouraged and the goal-setting process will become just another fruitless activity. Finally, goals should be timely. Lynn gave herself 6 months to accomplish her goal. Don't set a goal for which you honestly don't have time right now, and don't give yourself so much time that the goal becomes meaningless. Let's see how Melinda and Jim have done with their long-range goals.
Looking at I am creative. I can think of several goals I would like to work toward. but one that really excites me is the idea of writing an article and submitting it to a publication. Okay, 6 months from today, I will submit a magazine article to Writers Magazine.
A SMART goal. Specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely. If I were to put the basketball team into that context, I'd say, I will organize a basketball team of 10 players, one of which will be Hannah, by March 1st.
Using the goal planning form on page 17 in your guidebook, identify a long-range goal for the governing value you've selected. Remember to make it SMART. Take the next 2 minutes to do this. The next step in the process of building your productivity pyramid is defining a plan of action for accomplishing your goal, a set of intermediate steps. Intermediate steps break your long-range goal into manageable pieces. Let's briefly return to our 3 examples.
If I'm going to improve my evaluation score, yes, there are some things I need to do along the way. I will have to be on time with every order. A meeting with my clients to determine their needs would be a good step. I could also keep a product binder for each client that I update regularly.
After Lynn listed her intermediate steps, she gave each step a priority and a deadline. Her intermediate steps will later be broken down into the necessary daily tasks to meet these deadlines.
There are more steps that go into writing an article than you might think. Oh, you have to research your subject matter. You have to look at the ideas you have personally about the subject and decide which ones are worth developing. There are 1 or more drafts to be written before your article is ready to send. Some of these steps can be broken down even further.
Melinda also prioritized her intermediate steps and set some deadlines.
Intermediate steps? Well, let's see. I sent out a flyer to the neighborhood kids to let them know that a team was being formed. I had to get equipment to practice with. I had to find a place to practice. There was plenty to do.
Now it's your turn. On the form in your guidebook on page 19, break your long-range goal into intermediate steps. Depending on your goal, there may be many intermediate steps or just a few. Your intermediate steps will then be broken down again into the individual tasks necessary to meet your deadlines. For now, just write your intermediate steps. Take the next 3 minutes to do this. You've almost taken your value to the top of the pyramid. By breaking down your intermediate steps into daily tasks in your Franklin Day Planner system, your actions are then in line with your governing values. Let's take a look at the daily tasks Lynn defined for one of her intermediate steps. Keep an updated product binder for each client.
Obviously, I would need to order the binders from purchasing. I would have to compile an up-to-date list of clients that would need binders. I would determine the material to go in the binder. I'm already sounding like an accomplished professional.
Lynn's daily actions are now in line with her governing value, being an accomplished professional.
To do the research I need, I would start with a visit to the library and see what's already been written. Direct quotes are always good, so I would schedule 1 or 2 interviews with authorities on my subject. And I would start a file on any relative statistics I could find.
Daily tasks have also brought Melinda's actions in line with her governing values. Each of her intermediate steps will be broken down into tasks that can be accomplished in a day. Finally, let's see how Jim is doing with his intermediate steps.
Getting the equipment worked out pretty well. I divided everything up so I could do things a little at a time. I made phone calls to the sporting goods stores to find out what balls and t-shirts would cost. Figured out the totals, divided it up. I called everyone to let them know what it would cost, and collected the money, and then I bought everything. Breaking it into daily tasks made it simple. And I feel like a better father.
Take the next few minutes to enter daily tasks for your intermediate steps on prioritized daily task lists for each appropriate date in your Franklin Day Planner system, or on the daily page on page 21 of your guidebook. You'll also need to enter any specific appointments on the appropriate monthly pages and on the appointment schedule of the daily pages. The daily task on Jim's list that says call Sports Market for prices is concrete evidence that Jim's daily actions are in line with his governing values. This task reflects the intermediate step, gather necessary equipment, which reflects the long-range goal, organize a neighborhood basketball team, which reflects Jim's governing value, I am a good dad. You've just seen how the whole process works. You've identified a set of governing values, things that are important to you. You've taken one of those values, written it as a statement, and developed some clarifying statements that describe in greater detail what that value means to you. Next, you defined a long-range goal related to that value, and the intermediate steps and daily tasks that would help you achieve that goal. Finally, you've entered those daily tasks on the appropriate daily pages of your Franklin Day Planner system. Many who've gone through the process you just completed have written to us about the increased freedom and exhilaration they feel at having a map of who they are and what is most important to them in plain view. There's something exciting about seeing yourself and your life through new eyes, finding things deep within you that you've never noticed or that have been hidden for too long.